Welcome to the December 12th Comprehensive Planning Team meeting. We have Birch Gregg, Jeremy Frame, and Caitlin McComsky present. Dwight did let me know he was not going to be able to make it today. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Did anybody have any edits for the minutes? The meeting minutes have been a little more less detailed, I guess, than some of our earlier meetings because most of the changes we describe, I'm just automatically putting comments on the draft updated plan. So to me, it didn't make sense to create extra work for myself and double down. So if anybody feels like there's additional information they need, definitely let me know. All of that information is available in the videos. And then, like I say, there will be the red line version of the updated plan for reference as well. Okay, we'll go ahead and mark those approved. Update on the survey. We did get a decent little bump from the second postcard mailing. We've got 228 responses so far, and we have 122 people who have subscribed to receive emails from the town. So definitely it seems like it was worth it to send out that second mailing. And that is open through January 1st. So we have a couple more weeks if anybody is wondering how much longer it's open. Item number 3 is the Ontario County contract. Birch has been working with Kyle. We got the zoning map. And he's got the notes for the other map updates that we discussed last meeting.
Well, Kyle sent back that Eileen has to approve it. I didn't quite understand.
I didn't understand that either. He said she has to sign it, but I don't think she would be comfortable signing anything without town board approval. Yeah, I didn't really understand that either.
Just finish going through all the notes.
Ontario County Planning Department. Oh, no, is that from me? That email's from me. I was like, wait, I think I wrote that. It's ringing a bell. Yeah, he just said that the town clerk needed to sign it. Can you maybe follow up with Eileen and just check on if she's familiar with that process? And if not, we can follow up with the county. Yeah, I think it just no local law is needed since no parcels were rezoned. So when you're ready, I just need the town clerk to sign the draft / send it to me and I can get started on printing out the official zoning map. Or if you'd like any changes, just let me know. Yeah, just see if she's familiar with that process or what, she might be like, oh yeah, XYZ. And if she's not, then we can follow up. Is ready for Christmas at your house? And you have 2 kids?
I've got 3 daughters.
3 daughters. How old?
22, 16, and 14.
Okay. That's gotta be a little hard to buy for.
Of course, everything is, one iPhone, one iPhone.
Mm-hmm, expensive.
No, because you're gonna lose it. No, because you're gonna break it.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Because
Um, probably pretty similar. I'm a little more ready than my husband, I would say. But I'm not ready either, so.
No problem.
She's good with that? Okay, perfect.
I guess I'll look forward to her. Which send it on to Kyle, I guess.
Okay. Um, let's just make sure we loop in Supervisor Bastola just so that he knows that that's happening. Just so that he's aware. Update on revisions to the plan. I also touched base with Thomas Lyon. I sent him over a draft version of the plan update that just had the county specific questions and comments that we had up to date. So it was only through this section that we reviewed for tonight's meeting. A lot of it were like those charts for the demographics and stuff. We had quite a few questions on those. So I sent those over to Thomas and asked them to start working on that. As part of that same email, I did ask sort of for a status update on how many hours we've used so far this year, and how much more he thought we would be able to accomplish before the end of the year. So I'll make sure we get a final invoice, and just documentation of the hours that we used, right after the first of the year. And then we can keep moving forward on some of the other items in the contract in 2025. Any questions about the county stuff? All right, review sections. So we had the 3 sections that we reviewed. So we can kind of flip through those. Starting on page 48, we started with plan assumptions, section 6.
Do you have a copy of that map? Probably I have too many emails because I'm in the county planning board and Kyle's.
Oh, sure. Um, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I think this is it right here. See if the attachments went through correctly with that. Better attachments forward. Let's see, I'm gonna forward you a different one with just that instead of all our back and forth after. That one should definitely have the attachment. Okay. You ready to dive into the plan, Birch? Yep. So starting on page 48 with section 6, plan assumptions, goals, and policies. I didn't have any notes till the second page. 6.
That's the thing, I didn't have until the second page.
So my first note was towards the top of the page. There's a note, regulate the following activities by permit. And I circled the second bullet, which says the conversion of seasonal residences to year-round dwellings. Is that something we currently regulate? And should we? I don't think that that seems necessary to me. So I would vote for removing that. So it's the second on page 49. There's the third main bullet. Then there's a list of smaller bullets. It's the second one. Regulate the following activities by permit. Like, so I guess by permit could be by building permit. I don't know. Maybe I'll make a note that I'll just double check that with Joe and see if that's something he thinks needs to be included here or not. Or
Yeah.
just remove it.
Yeah.
I thought it seemed unnecessary. Then the next, I have a note, under the bullets, the first paragraph, there will continue to be pressure to extend. I just made a note that we need to add some additional language. This was written prior to the installation of the water main on County Road 36.
That shows up in several places.
Yeah, so I think we'll have, once I get the language in the earlier section all squared away, I can just sort of plug that language in. I'll just make a note that we'll circle back to that once that's finalized.
The bullet right above that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're adding solar farms in there along with
Sure.
towers.
Yeah.
Communication towers, that sort of thing.
Birch, did you work on that regulation about solar?
Yeah, we regulate install solar.
Even just residential?
Yes.
Okay,
Small scale.
okay. So it's the same thing, construction of commercial and residential wind towers and solar. So I could just add and solar. Okay. Got it. Anything else before we move on to 6.2.2 economic development assumptions? Still on page 49. I just had a note for the third paragraph there. It says there most likely will be an increase in the number of home occupations during the next 10 years. Just wondering what data that's based on.
Probably made it up.
So I guess I would vote for removing it because
Yep.
I don't want to put something in there that we haven't verified is based on actual data.
Fact check.
I don't think so.
Um,
Oh,
pretty overwhelmingly no. Yeah, there's a lot of,
camped out along the lake and the hill on the other side is too steep.
so you think we should remove that as well?
Road. I mean, we're kind of showing the whole idea, but. Oh, okay, that's.
Mm-hmm.
Our job, bro.
Yep. Or town hall.
Town.
Anything else? Page 49? I just had a note that first paragraph at the very top, we just need to update the between,
You gotta update the population assumptions, right?
yep. Yep, exactly. I had another note for the first paragraph under housing assumptions. It says there will be additional conversions of, again, the seasonal to year round, and I just made a note to ask code enforcement. That was my only note for that whole section. Until we get to 6.2.5.
What about on housing assumptions? Mention anything on short-term rentals?
Yeah, absolutely. Good catch. Okay, yeah. Transportation assumptions. I have a nice big star that says Jeremy question mark. I'm sure you maybe had some comments.
Didn't really see anything in there.
Okay. I had a few notes on the third paragraph. It says the automobile will continue to be the primary method of transportation. And then this last sentence, in addition, if national trends are followed, there will be an increasing percentage of households with one car for each driver in the household. I have to assume that already happened. That seems like an outdated statement to me.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I say we scratch that last sentence.
I don't quite understand the middles one. If interior lands are to be developed in the town. Interior lands are developed, then that would be, if you're doing a development, they require you to be right.
Yeah, so the developer would build the inner roadways and then
Yeah. I mean,
turn it over to the town.
Yeah,
I don't think that that's really applicable.
it's just saying, I think what it's saying is we don't want private driveways to become rights of way. So if it's obviously unlikely we're gonna have a lot of subdivisions, but it's saying if we do, a solution for extending the town roads for,
You can't do a private driveway with right of way. I mean, if you're going to develop, if you're going to divide up a property for development, our town code requires you to put road in.
yeah, but it doesn't require it to be it can still be a private drive. It just has to have certain public safety standards.
Right, and then they maintain it as a private road.
But often in other communities, when a subdivision is put in, when the plan comes to the planning board for approval, there's specs that the road has to be built to these standards. And
And
the
we have that.
subdivision maintains it until construction
Right.
is done, and then the town um takes ownership of it and then takes over maintenance of it. So that's what this is saying. It's saying if we have situations like this occur, that's how it should be handled. So I think that is something we definitely want to have in a plan like this.
Yeah,
Any other comments for page 51? I had a comment on the second graph. It's referencing a plan from 1992. I just had a note that this is probably a paragraph we'll want county assistance with. They're probably already familiar with what new updated plans they are. I also made a note, what is the role of entities like the Finger Lakes Land Trust? And then I also made a note, like, what's the town role? Because that was another question on our survey. What role should the town play with? I forget exactly how it's worded, but we had all of these list of things like, increased recreation opportunities on town hall campus and work closer with the DEC. I forget how it was worded, but depending on the feedback of that question, we may want to say, survey, residents surveyed felt the town should not play a role in this, and that, the state and potentially other private entities like the Finger Lakes Land Trust.
yeah, Finger Lakes Land Trust, the only role they play is they would do easements. That doesn't affect taxes as far as the local goes. But the Finger Lakes Land Trust is not gonna be creating any preserves.
But it does protect land from development, which is sort of, I think, what this section is getting after. There will continue to be an interest in protecting the majority of the forested lands within the town. And that's definitely overwhelmingly also coming in on the survey. People want it to stay rural. They want it to stay forested. And again, I think that I think this is a good section to just check in with the county and see.
Okay.
Like I say, this plan from 1992 is outdated. I'm sure there's a more recent one that could provide an updated paragraph there. Public facilities and services assumptions. I had a note for the fourth paragraph down. It says, assuming future town growth, there will be a need to improve and expand other existing public facilities to accommodate this growth. But earlier in the plan, we say growth is assumed to stay. So I think that was an
This-
error from,
62.7.
yes.
So the first paragraph isn't valid anymore, right?
No, that's still valid. I would say that's even more valid now than when it was written then. There's not gonna be any more extensions to public water or public sewer because there's not enough density anywhere else. It would be cost prohibitive. And
Well, not, so it's not extension into the town or within the town, what is,
hey, Eileen. Do you have a question?
Just so you know, because an email was going around from county planning about some updates they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
and in previous years, any zoning map changes were processed through the CEO's office. I don't have a problem with signing it if it expedites anything, but it normally isn't.
Yeah, we thought that was weird.
it was Kyle in planning that was the one that,
We'll double check that. Cause
I even double checked it with Ted, and I
Yeah.
was wrong with how everything went.
I thought that was odd
Yeah,
that you would
I-
be the one.
that's right.
Okay. We'll,
I'm signing it.
um,
They were looking for who was gonna be responsible for certain things because they're going to Civic Plus and things will be.
Yeah.
Submitted differently, and I've never submitted anything for the town to the county planning.
that's, yeah, they're not doing that yet, but they're gonna do that.
Right, well, they said they were gonna start testing it this month. I don't,
Right.
you know, I don't know what towns are gonna choose. So, just,
okay,
I think they were trying to put me into something.
always.
Well, they said, she always says yes, so.
Well, like. I
Eileen,
said,
I'll never
it's
tell you.
the time thing and they're not here and whatever, but
Yeah, there's,
normally it would not be.
Yeah,
okay,
it seemed odd
I'll
to
ask
us too.
Kyle.
Yeah, we'll circle back
Somebody
with that.
will sign it.
Right, but whether it's you or the CEO,
Yeah.
okay,
That makes more sense to
And
me.
they have made changes to the zoning map and submitted it to the planning board or county planning.
Well, and I was confused because it says there weren't any changes.
right.
Since no parcels were rezoned, so when you're ready, I just need the town clerk to sign the draft and send it to me, and I can get started on printing out the official zoning map. Like, so many of them things in that sentence confuse me, so,
Yeah,
Have there been changes?
no, I don't think so. But I also don't know what he means by printing out the official zoning map.
so we have asked for paper copies of the map, because again, the CGO's office posts them in their office.
Okay,
Okay,
I do not. A lot of that started when we were actually adopting something too, so. But I know they have made changes to the map as parcels may have been moved into conservation district or whatever, or split.
yeah,
so,
that would be like down on County Road 36, that parcel that got purchased by the land trust and then they sold it to the state.
Yeah.
So that would be a change.
Plus the change could be somebody subdividing or combining, that would change the overall map. But we don't ask for any updates like that regularly, but
Right.
again, I know the code guys have.
maybe the best first step is let's forward the draft to Joe. And maybe with this email and be like, we're a little confused.
You have the map,
Yes, I just sent it to you too, but I can send it to Joe too.
did I get the map?
You just asked me
Oh.
to send it to you like 10 minutes ago. We'll keep you in the loop, but I think it makes more sense to have Joe look at it.
Oh,
Thanks,
okay. I
Eileen.
got it now. Okay. So I'll send this to Joe. And ask him to take a look at it.
Yes, just say,
And then I'll put a note to Kyle saying, do you want the CEO to sign off on it or do you want the clerk to sign off?
Just say maybe
We have the question of,
we were confused why the town clerk signs off on this. We forwarded to the CEO for review.
yeah, I'll wait for Joe to get back to me on the review and then send it on to Kyle and say we have the CEO review it.
Mm-hmm.
Looks good. Who do you want to do the final sign up?
Mm-hmm.
And whatever he says, we'll go.
Okay,
Thanks for sending it.
you're welcome. Thanks for handling that. Go back to 6.2.7. So that first paragraph, it's just basically saying there's not gonna be massive expansion of public sewer and water because it's cost prohibitive. So that is, to me, an accurate assumption.
Yeah, I just didn't. I don't think it's, okay.
So I would vote that the fourth paragraph, second to the last, is removed. Because we are not assuming that there is going to be future growth. We are assuming that the growth is going to remain stagnant. And we say that earlier in the plan. I think that's just an error held over. Remember the original plan?
Yep.
Thought that growth was going to continue. And it took decades before.
And we don't really have public facilities where we have to accommodate.
Exactly, yeah.
growth. Should we name the school districts?
I think we do in another section, don't we? I believe in an earlier section, we go into more detail in that. In the existing facilities section. Facilities. I feel like there was a section where there was like. But I'll double check. I'll just make a note. Schools. Detailed.
Under utilities, do we wanna? We have cable, do we wanna say fiber optic? Or do you consider cable and fiber optic the same thing?
We can add, I'm fine with. Is there a better, are you saying should we remove cable and telephone service and say fiber optic, or say cable and,
Cable / fiber optic, I don't know, or cable, comma. Add fiber optic is a word.
and leave telephone service?
Yeah, because we still have telephone,
We did.
some people.
Cable.
Still waiting for cable and fiber optic.
Used to be Fishers, I don't know who owns it now, but
Yeah,
Okay, ready for the next section? I didn't have any notes on the next page. This whole next section I thought was pretty well written. I didn't have any notes until page 54. I, there's a couple places where it talks about reviewing the plan annually. I don't know why I can't say that word. Every 2 years. I think that's way too often. I would vote that we talk to the town board about doing a minor review maybe every 5 years and saying, you know, we're on track with these goals. We need to work on these goals. But I don't think that we have the capacity of volunteers to do this every 2 years.
So you're saying you don't want to do this every 2 years?
I am not sure I want to do this every more than 10 years,
I
but
think actually 10 years is fine.
I don't think there's a harm in doing like a light, like especially when we're looking at these. Yeah, especially when we're looking at 6 and is it 7 or 8 that kind of all 3 of these sections, 6, 7, and 8. Specifically just being like, okay, so we said this is our goal. We want to start utilizing the, you know, email platform to communicate with residents digitally. And, you know, here's how we're going to do that.
Well, obviously no one followed this.
Yeah. There's some things I think that were done, and I think there's some, and I think that's the point too, is like, and it said, it really talks a lot about it in section 8. Like, this isn't supposed to be a static document. Like, it's supposed to be something that, you know, we sort of are aware of, just like, I would say even more so than the town code. Like, I don't think as planning board members, like, we necessarily should have the code memorized. But like, I feel like that we're doing a lot of work and putting a lot of time into this. This plan shouldn't just go and sit on the shelf and nobody thinks or talks about it for 10 years. I do think there is value in making sure that people are aware of it. And even I was thinking like it might be worth chatting with like Ted, like can, you know, should we do like a comprehensive planning training that's like an hour worth of training for the planning board once every 2 years or something where we sort of review
How
the
about the
plan.
zoning board of appeals, which actually has more impact. Their decisions have more impact on the town than we do on the planning board.
Yep.
Because
And
Yeah.
so that is something I would be willing, you know, every 2 years to say, okay, here's our plan. Here's the main goals, the main elements. Here's why you need to know them as planning board, zoning boards. Like, I think there's value in that, in our boards being more familiar with this plan because, you know,
so maybe instead of saying review and update, every biannually zoning board of appeals and the town board should review this document or somehow. Cause you want them to be aware of it and thinking of it.
yeah. It's a guidance document and the town board as well. It's, you know, and I think it really dives into that really well in section 8. Like if
And we'll give them a quiz. If they pass it, then
like I love the first section. Just we'll get there in a second, I know, but the first section in section 8, I wish that was at the beginning of the plan. Like it's such a great introduction. I'm like, why is this all the way? Why do we have a reference to in the introduction an obscure resolution, which I pulled? Well, Eileen pulled it for me. That's very confusing from
well, there's no
The
reason you
90s.
can't move that to the front.
so yeah. So that was my note is
Okay.
I am sorry to like skip around a little bit here. Um, but I think section 8 is like almost should be like the whole thing moved forward, and I guess we can chat more about that when we get there. Um, so yeah, I guess I would say,
For your number 3, the general goals,
yeah,
just eliminate the update portion of that review. The comprehensive plan on a regular basis. So obviously you're not updating it biannually, you just want to. People refamiliarize people with the plan.
yeah, I think
And
that's more,
specifically name town board, planning board, zoning board of appeals. Code enforcement officer. Highway guy doesn't need to know about it.
no. I mean, there may be like sections, like in this plan, you know, they hadn't started doing the 5-year plans and capital improvement
Right.
plans. They hadn't started doing that stuff here yet. So that was a plan that they set out here, like we want to start doing this planning better, and that is something that was accomplished. Um,
And it wouldn't hurt for the highway guys to know about this. So
so yeah,
in your weekly meetings.
let's go section by section. They'll love
Yeah.
it. So, okay, yeah, I think that's helpful feedback for that section. I just made a note for town communications. We need to update that section. I think that especially with the feedback from the survey, we have a question that is very much about like, what's the best way for the town to communicate with you? And we can sort of, based on those results, update that town communication section. Okay. I didn't have any notes until page 56. Um, there's a reference a couple places to town's bulk refuse collection activities. Did the town used to do that?
Town used to run a transfer station. Down, it's like Road South. So it
Oh,
was garbage and recycling.
interesting. When did they stop that operation? Do you know?
It's
90s.
The DEC basically, the DEC essentially stopped it. It was I think it was every Saturday, they had dumpsters down there. And then the highway department had a recycling trailer that they would fill up and then take over to the landfill.
Okay.
Where was
Interesting.
that on West?
It's on Old Westlake Road South
Hmm.
and Crossroad. And then it was turned into the brush pit,
Oh, okay, so
which has been since been abandoned because there was never anybody there to staff it, so the brush pit kind of turned into garbage pit.
right,
Okay.
so you
So
just,
now it's just,
do you guys use it at all or for brush?
we use it for brush and dump, a fill dump site, the
Yeah.
county uses it as a fill dump site. Actually, the contractor that did the water district, he used it for a lot of fill dump site.
So I think for this property maintenance, we say encourage proper maintenance of existing development. In order to improve property maintenance, scratch the rest of that and maybe we just make a note that says something about encouraging residents to utilize county special collection event services or something like that. Okay, I had a note for the next section, 2A, under associated policies. There's land care. It says discourage the improper use of fertilizers and pesticides. I know that
Where is that?
on page 56, in the second box,
Yeah,
A, land care under associated policies.
right.
I think there's just better existing language about like lake friendly land care or lawn care that sort of just says that in a more succinct way. So I can look that up and plug that in there if you guys are comfortable with that. I mean, it's not wrong. I just think it could be said better or more robustly.
And that kind of rolls in with C too, what you're saying, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably more appropriate for C than A, actually. You're right.
And it's not just people, it's everyone. Not just lake side people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I guess maybe that's kind of what I was thinking too, and it's not just like fertilizers and pesticides. There's, picking up your animal waste and we're all in the watershed, even if we don't live on the lake. I didn't have any other notes till the bottom of page 57. You probably circled salt and sand control too. You guys don't use sand anymore, do you?
You still do use a little sand stuff,
A little sand? Okay. Um,
as much as. So we used to, but still, we have two trucks that still run sand.
so this is in order to reduce the amount of salt entering the surface and groundwater, to reduce the damage to roadside vegetation, and to help prolong the life of vehicles, the town highway department should have an ongoing effort to optimize the use of salt sand mix and investigate alternative approaches to follow this policy. In addition, they should review road maintenance practices and materials storage practices. Which I think you're doing all that. I just didn't know, like, do you want to add anything about like bounce and scatter or, I don't know the exact equipment that you have. Okay, so you're good with that section.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it's pretty much. It's already currently happening.
yeah, I figured. I just wanted to make sure you were good with how it was worded. So I'll defer to you if you like the wording. I'm good with it. My next note was, of course, on managing solid waste on B, recycling. I didn't know if we wanted to add again some information about the Ontario County special collection events.
Yeah, I think you do, but also besides just Ontario County taking advantage of any.
Oh,
special-
sure.
Incorporated it.
You know.
Yeah,
A state.
because you can take your electronics to e-waste or something like that.
Or don't Best Buy and stuff had to take TVs back now and things like that?
Good point.
Aren't there already fines for illegal littering and dumping?
About the guy that dumped all that stuff over in Grantley.
Mhm.
I don't know what the TDC fined him, but he paid our expenses for having to pick it up and haul it all over the landfill. And then the TDC fined him on top of it.
How much were your expenses?
It's like $1,500.
How'd you find them looking through the garbage?
The person that hired him to tear the building down
Oh.
recognized like wallpaper or something on the picture.
Good for
Social
them.
media, and
Oh, interesting.
they're the ones that actually contacted the DEC, and then that same individual was seen around town trying to dump in other locations by other people, so.
Wow,
It was a group effort.
good for them. Um. And I don't know. We are very concerned about an increase in illegal dumping as costs potentially increase in the future. As far as disposal goes, so I don't know. Um,
Said what are the unintended consequences?
yes, that's definitely costs are going to go up. We don't know how much. So I don't know if we want to say something like due to the um due to the
I think you definitely want to consider. I mean, there's already fines there for illegal littering and dumping.
so we
Don't
want
need to consider means.
consider enforcement for existing regulations regarding illegal littering and
Encourage enforcement.
encourage. Encourage.
Just see somebody. Force it because you don't know
Sure.
tires. Drives down the road with a van with a sliding door open and they're throw a tire out. I've gone down the road in a stretch of a mile and picked up 8 or 9 tires.
How about the mattress on County Road 37
Oh, yeah.
in Richmond?
Yeah.
Is
There's
it
3
still?
tires next to it.
Oh, is it still there?
It's still there.
Is that a county
Yes.
responsibility?
Yes, it's a county road.
Yeah.
Called County Highway Department.
I should do that someday because I keep driving by it. Keep thinking I should get the address so I can call it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. My next note wasn't until page 59 on D, the second from the top in the associated policies, the subdivision development. The last 2 words are the use of the consider the use of the clustering concept. Has anybody ever heard of that? I said, what is this? Ask the county. So I'm just gonna double check on that phrase. I was not familiar with it. So I'll find out. I guess I could have Googled it.
Several subdivisions that we've got same area.
Well, I think clustering would be, I mean, right now you have to have what, 3 acres to build? And X amount of road frontage. Clustering would be like townhouses or. kind of like what's happening in Canandaigua, which we don't want to encourage.
In urban planning, the clustering concept refers to a development strategy where buildings and infrastructure are grouped together on a smaller portion of a site, allowing for the preservation of open space and environmentally sensitive areas by concentrating development in specific locations rather than spreading it evenly across the entire parcel. Essentially, it's about grouping houses or other structures to maximize open space within a development area.
And I don't think our code allows that.
Subdivision development. Use subdivision codes to manage development. When subdivisions are being contemplated, consider the use of the clustering concept. I just feel like we're not gonna have a lot of subdivision development anyways. But if for some reason somebody did,
But if, in our town code, my impression is a subdivision would still require the 3 acre parcels. You could put in a road,
Mhm,
spec,
mhm.
but you're not gonna cluster.
Given that
I don't,
most is gonna be involved with the septic system, I don't think clustering is gonna happen anyhow.
Hmm, that's a good point.
I think you probably leave it out. I mean, it sounds good, but
It does sound good. Um,
that's more of a urban.
I still want to ask the county about it. Because they're really, as far as planning concepts go, they may be able to like explain it in a way that makes sense for it's again, it's unlikely because it is going to be on wells and private wastewater that we're going to see subdivisions. Um, but again, this is a guidance document. So if we establish that is something, if tomorrow somebody comes in and wants to do a subdivision, we have this document that says we're supposed to consider clustering concepts. So maybe we say,
But
you
then
know what,
We'd have to change our code.
because our comp plan says this is something we need to consider, we now need to look at our code and see if
Right.
our code is
But
up to date.
is the survey showing that people want?
People want single family homes. I don't know if we have a specific
We didn't ask the question.
about subdivisions. And again, it's really unlikely that we're going to see them because they would have to be private wastewater and water.
Let's just say you're putting something in there that
But I think
doesn't mean anything.
we don't know what's gonna happen in 5-10 years from now.
Well,
So
10
this
years from now,
is-
they could change it.
Well, what if in 7 years from now, all of a sudden they're like, wow, there is really affordable land in Canadice and it's worth us investing in private wastewater.
Oh,
Because places do it, like Bristol Harbor is all on private wastewater and
Yep.
private water system. So somebody could come in and want to do something. So I think that's when I think that's the times, those types of times are when we most need to come back to our comp plan and be like, okay, we're seeing changes in our community. Let's go to our comp plan. What does it say? How should we handle these types of things? So
right, I guess my question is the community expressed an interest in doing this?
So to me, reading this, the clustering concept means that if development happens, it needs to happen in a way that preserves open space and environmentally sensitive areas. And 100%, that's what the surveys are saying, is people want to preserve the rural character they want to preserve, you know, wooded areas, environmentally sensitive areas. So
Well,
yes,
maybe we want to reword it that if, subdivisions need to take into consideration the rural character, open spaces.
yeah, I like that.
And if that means that you cluster, okay. But we don't need to say cluster.
I like that better. Yeah, good point.
And that fits in with the results of the survey.
Because clustering concept might not be the only way to preserve open space. Yeah, got it. Okay, any other comments on this page? I have a note for B that starts on the bottom of 59.
Just one question on E, program for open area preservation.
Mhm.
At the one point, they're saying the town can pursue it, but then they're saying those such activities remain primarily in the hands of private landowners.
So they're saying the town should pursue it only if it's gonna be tax neutral.
Right.
If all of a sudden lots of tax parcels are getting taken out and put in the Finger Lakes Land Trust or all of a sudden added to state land and the tax base is going down, they're saying, don't do that. Only pursue strategies that are tax neutral. So it's saying, and that again, that's
So really, they're not gonna do. Nothing's gonna be,
I think there are ways like there's the town of Canandaigua's done a lot with like agriculture protection. And again, I'm not a planner by trade, so I feel like I'm gonna butcher trying to talk about these concepts, but there was like the Paddleford Greenway that was like in the town of Canandaigua and town of Farmington, and that was protected in some way. But a lot of it is just like what is it? PDR, purchase development rights or something. So it's
yeah.
basically,
Land protection, they purchase the development rights and then you can only farm it forever.
so it stays as is in the it's not being removed from the tax base, but it is being protected so that it can't be developed. So I think that's what it's saying, like do stuff like that, but not like where you're, because there was a parcel in Richmond that the DEC wanted to buy. It was over, it's on like the northwest side of town, I think. And was it the DEC? I thought it was the state wanted to turn it into state land, and there was big pushback from the Richmond Town Board because of the impact to the tax base. So that would be another instance where our town board could say, our comp plan says, you know, we can't pursue this or support this because it's having a negative impact on the tax base.
So it should say pursuit or support of specific.
That's a good one. Mm-hmm.
So for example, if there's farmland, the town could actively try to go after farmland protection
Mm-hmm.
or encourage someone to do that. But that would be neutral because it'd still be taxed as farmland.
Because it's existing farmland, it'll continue to be taxed as such. Yep, exactly. So my next note was for B that starts on the bottom of page 59, building density. It says, it talks about development of minimum lot size, we got that. Availability of public sewer and the naturally occurring limitations to development such as land contour, soil percolation rate, and soil depth to bedrock, plus proximity to protected streams, yada yada, regulated wetlands. And then the last sentence says, allow alternatives to conventional septic systems to meet town codes. And I just had a note. So we're currently, I asked Ted to touch base with the town board to check in with where, do you know that the planning board updated the septic code and sent it to the town board? Well, Birch, the planning board, Birch did it. And the planning board agreed to send it to the town board and we haven't heard anything.
Just go with state code,
To just go with state code.
which is the same as saying, if we
So,
can leave the wording the same because it's,
because the town code is gonna refer to the state code, and I guess then
Yeah.
if for some reason it was determined to change the code in 5 years to something more strict than the state code again, this would still be correct. So I guess I just wanted to double check that you were still good with it saying town code. Perfect. Restrictions to development, D on that same section. Generally restrict development on steep slope areas where slopes exceed 15%. Consider specific restrictions based on the considerations listed in item B above, as well as characteristics summarized in map 12. And I thought map 12 was one of the ones that we thought,
we didn't need.
yeah.
Well, I guess we need it now.
Oh, no, map.
Those are environmentally sensitive areas. It's map 12.
Yeah, so I haven't. I have to refer to my notes. I didn't make very good notes on this one. I think I made them on the digital one. So I guess as we go through these sections, let's just double check and make sure we don't need to keep any of those.
Yeah, we had a question on map 12.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find our note for map 12.
That one of the maps I left. Did I leave a map out for Kyle? We had map 11, we had questions on too.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't take good notes. I'll have to go back and watch the video. I'll just circle it and make sure that we need to circle back. I don't have any other notes until page 62. Section 5. It says, provide opportunities for affordable housing. And I know affordable housing sometimes can be a trigger word. People, and I know it's defined in the glossary. But I didn't know if we wanted to put affordable housing / workforce housing. Or if we think that the definition for affordable housing is sufficient.
I think that's fine.
I don't have any notes until the bottom of page 63, and it was just a missed and.
Do we have ag districts?
Where are you looking?
6, promote agriculture operations where productive soils exist. Is there such a thing as productive soil in the town of Cambridge?
Yeah, I mean, there's the
I'm kidding.
cornfields right here. There's not a lot.
I don't consider corn productive.
Yeah.
And 40% of the corn grown in the US goes to ethanol. The rest to corn syrup.
Um. Yeah. I think that
I mean,
in general, the survey to me is saying maintain status quo, and I think that that's saying that we should protect the little farmland that we have.
so we should have a right to farm law.
I'm
I would take that out.
consider a right to farm law.
Mhm.
Um,
Obviously, no one's done anything in 10 years.
yeah, I would,
And the tax programs are run by county soil and water. The municipality has no control over that, I don't think.
That will land program where you could,
Well, county soil, I mean, actually, the assessor does have control over farmland. So I guess you can leave that in.
okay, yeah, and I'd like to ask the county for feedback on the farm law piece. I'm not super familiar with how right to farm laws work.
It gives farmers a lot of leeway. They basically you can't. I don't think it's appropriate for the town of Canvas, given that we have what, 2 farms, 3?
2 active farms. And then there's property that's leased out to other
Right.
lights, fields out to that seen this farm down on
Yep.
Slade Road and you're on.
Yep.
I'm just thinking about it in the context of, one thing I am seeing on surveys a lot is like property rights. And we know that that's been an issue on previous surveys, like people want property rights protected. So is this something that would fall under property rights or right to farm law? If so, it's something that residents are,
Right, but it has an
Identify.
impact on adjacent properties. I mean, I think it has to do with, I don't know exactly, but, fertilizer, what you can do, runoff. I don't know what it all is.
okay.
It would be way more complicated than for 2 farms.
I would just like to ask the county for a little bit more detail about what a right to farm law is. So I'll make a note, remove ? Ask county. And I'll just let you know what they say. I guess just for my own personal understanding. Yeah, I'd just like to know before we say, let's definitely remove it. I don't have any notes until page 65. The Lakeshore District section. I just made a note, we need to add municipal water.
The New York State right to farm laws protect farmers and their operations from from unreasonable local laws and private nuisance suits. That would be the AI answer.
I'm not opposed to removing it. I just want more information, just for my own personal.
Well, it's also nothing's been done.
Yep,
You know, why put stuff in there that
that isn't
no one's gonna do
achievable.
anything with that? In my opinion, but
Yep. Yeah, I think I would agree with that. So I don't have really any more notes for section 6.
Page 65.
Mm-hmm,
Family,
mm-hmm.
second. paragraph, feature, services installed, appear along complement 36, I don't know, if that needs to get reworded because
it is there.
it's there. That's been extended, so.
So basically just say, if the public sewer is extended and or water service is extended instead of installed. Which we know it's unlikely to be.
Do we allow multifamily development
Yeah, I thought it said,
in our code? I don't know.
thought it said somewhere something about the code.
It's the apartments there on Cruise Road.
Right.
Said further development would be subject to site plan review. And then it says. They would be through the enactment of specific multifamily land use controls. And then it has a note about townhouses too.
About the whole mobile home park thing. Whether a separate mobile home park district should be created.
I think it's just saying options that could be further evaluated. If someone approached the town.
That's something people want.
If the cost of housing keeps going up, it may be
I meant
something.
from the surveys, can we deduce anything from that?
Oh, I think it's pretty overwhelmingly single family homes. Are what we see as the main response.
I guess there again, the question is, we putting something in there that people don't want, or we're never gonna see.
I think I'm fine with it. Just because it defines what's existing. It's also says that this designation is not designed to, I think it says exclude, but should that be include? This designation is not designed to include modular and panelized homes. Should that be exclude or include?
Include,
Right? They shouldn't be included in this.
what's a panelized home? Versus modular.
Arden Hall, Brian Hall.
built in the factory, comes on a trailer, but it's.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah,
still
they're like-
put together on site.
So I think this designation is not to designed to include modular and panelized homes. They're separate.
Definitely.
Um. Okay, I don't have any other comments until section 7. Do you guys want to try and get through sections 7 and 8? It's 7:30. Do we want to put a pin in it and come back to these next month?
I'd like to put a pin in it.
I would agree with
I
that.
agree with that.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. We will pick that up. Again, next meeting will be January 9th will be our next meeting. Thank you guys so much.